my second panel. Asad is an exercise and a sports scientist. He is also the founder for Odds Fitness. He helps people rebuilding their strength, restore energy, and optimize their bodies through a blend of functional training, breathwork, recovery protocol, and mindful lifestyle habits. Welcome, Asad. We have Dr. Sanjay Sachdeva. He's the founder and CEO of Metabalance Healthcare, a pioneering functional and bioregulatory medicine center based in Delhi. He holds a PhD in nutritional sciences. Dr. Sachdeva brings more than 3 decades of experience in corporate business, healthcare, and in today's session, he will help us decode how nutrition, lifestyle choices, detox, metabolic health contribute to the lasting vitality rather than just quick fixes. Welcome, Dr. Sachdeva. Next, I have Kitty Kalra, third speaker. Kitty is a celebrated Pilates expert and a wellness coach, known for her holistic approach to strength, alignment, and mindful movement. Through her work, she has helped countless individuals to rebuild energy, improve posture, and restore balance by understanding the body's biomechanics and the power of breath-led movement. Welcome, Kitty. And pleasure to have Neha with us. Our speaker is someone who proves every single day that you don't have to sacrifice your well-being to succeed in the corporate world. She's the founder of Platoon Advisory, a strategic brand communications consultancy which shapes luxury lifestyle brands. She's also a certified yogini, and she's also a CrossFit athlete since the year 2014, 2012 actually. And Neha champions the mindful living in a fast-paced world, blending business clarity with physical discipline. Her journey stands as a reminder that strength, success, and self-care can and should go together. Join us, Neha. And the last speaker in this panel, we have Dr. Blossom Kocher. Everybody knows her as the chairperson of Blossom Kocher Group of Companies, a true pioneer in aromatherapy in the country. With over 35 years of experience, she's championed over the power of natural beauty, clean formulations, holistic and organic living long before it became a global movement. I welcome you, Dr. Kocher. Tight schedule today, and he has been kind enough to accommodate a couple of our sessions here. He shifted his meetings, and he would like to leave a little early so that he can catch up with them. This is what I was talking about, energies that is pulling us apart between our work schedules and our own well-being or the time that we want to spend. Dr. Sachdeva, from a nutrition and metabolic health perspective, what are the most common everyday habits that silently drain our energy? Could you throw a bit of light on this?
Thank you so much for the question. And I can see that a lot of us are on social media and on our phones. Blue light radiation and our exposure to EMF radiation is one of the major factors that changes the hormonal patterns of our mind. Most of the hormones that are released from the pituitary gland are affected with EMF radiation. The second most important factor, I think, is we've talked a lot about nutrition, sleep, exercise, so I will not repeat those points. But a very interesting thing which has come up in my personal experience with patients is associating with what I call as energy vampires. Negative people in your life drain out the most energy out of you. So if you are socially or family-wise or business-wise associated with negative people around you, you will find yourself emotionally and physically drained because that sucks out your energy a lot out of your this thing. Third, I feel we are breathing wrong. All of us are doing shallow breathing. We are not doing diaphragmatic breathing, and therefore, because of the uh, low ATP production, low oxygen levels, because of our wrong breathing, we get tired more often. And then, of course, there is a very important point which is very relevant today. It's heavy metal toxicity and pollution. We are not talking about it, but the impact of heavy metal toxins accumulating in your tissues and in your lungs and in your bones, it's huge. I mean, the impact is unbelievable. I mean, there's three young kids who have come to me, about 11 and 14 years of age. All three of them, different sports people, and they've all fainted on the fields and they've been taken to hospital because of heavy metal toxicity from pollution. This is really draining our energy out. And and the most important factor, I think, is also multitasking. We are doing too many things at the same time, and that leads to a chatter in our mind, which is noise. There's noise here, but there's noise inside. Luke talked about the noise inside. But I think noise inside is very hard to control. We are always on a mental treadmill, running with about 35 to 37 thoughts per minute. The ideal number of thoughts per minute should be 22. But we are at least 50% ahead of that. So we are constantly on a mental treadmill. We will get tired, obviously.
That's a lot of thoughts that we have in mind. I didn't realize that there could be 37 thoughts. And when you mentioned that, it added one more thought in my mind. Great. So tell me, for someone who wants to feel more energetic, right, starting tomorrow itself, what is it that you would advise them to do?
Listen to your body. I think we are not listening enough to our signals. Our body always whispers. When it whispers, listen to the body, otherwise it will shout. We don't listen enough to the signals of our body. Our gut gives us signals constantly. 90% of the serotonin and dopamine receptors are in the gut. We do not pay enough attention to the way our gut is responding to everything, to our thoughts, to our stress levels, to our food, to the inner thoughts that we are getting. And because of that, we don't listen to our body. We are ignoring the signals that are coming. So first point is to change that, is to start listening. When you start listening, you come into a state of awareness. Awareness will lead to investigation. So you want to investigate what is wrong with me, what is wrong with my blood markers, what is wrong with my psychological markers, what is wrong with my nervous system, what is wrong with my gut. If I have parasites, bugs. I have treated now about over 100 patients in the last 2 years for depression and anxiety only from food. That means only from the gut, because the gut-brain axis is something we almost always ignore. So these people, out of them, about 6 of them were on over 10 antidepressants per day. So 6 out of these people who came to me were on antidepressants. And the first day I just threw them off and I said, start eating this instead of having these antidepressants. So we don't listen enough to what signals we are getting, and therefore we jump into quick fix solutions.
So basically, we should not listen to my mind when it says that have more sugar, have more rasgullas, have more dessert, whatever. Uh, is it the noise, or is it just a whisper? How do I tackle that in my body?
Your body will tell you. See, the question is, you have to have your antennas up. If your antennas are sleeping, the divine and the nature always gives you signals. If your antennas are down and you're not receptive enough to receive those signals, you will not detect what is wrong with you. So the first step towards re-energizing yourself is to start listening. When you start listening to your body, whether it is whispering or shouting, and whether the symptoms are very high, you have to start investigating, why is this happening to me? When you investigate, you go to the why of the why of the why. Until you go to the root cause of the bottom of why it's happening to you, you will not be able to address it. And once you start doing that, then you eliminate the stressors and you eliminate all the triggers for drainage of energy. When energy drainage triggers are removed, then you start rebuilding all the things. So all that nutrition, supplements, exercise, meditation, yoga, all that comes. Of course, we talked so much about it in the last panel. So there's no need of repeating that. But what is important is that unless we start silencing our mind, we will not be able to listen. The chatter is too much in our mind at the moment.
So I'll jump to Neha from there. Neha, you have been a yogini for the last few many years. And with what doctor is saying, I understand that one has to connect within. And I believe yoga is something that connects you within. How would you endorse that?
Um, Thank you, Soumya. That's a very pertinent question. The point is not just yoga, any physical activity, which includes, say, running. You're just with yourself. Anything that stops you and allows you to confront your demons is the best exercise you can do for yourself. That could be gym, it can be running, it can be yoga, it can be CrossFit. I personally think that we need to be so open to accepting our dark side as much as we are to our light. So social media only talks about the light side of people. Each one of us has that dark side, which is saying have a cake which you know you have diabetes and your body is actually asking for cake because you are low in sugar. It's not getting the sugar. So instead of you understanding that we have a dark side, which is then say, and when I say dark, it's not a negative, it's actually our personality, which then says, how does it matter? You only live once. And you take that decision, which then living once takes you to the hospital. So I think the important point here is that each one of us understands our body better than a doctor ever will. Each one of us has our own biology. So my brother and I are born to the same parents, but our way of perceiving food, what suits him, what doesn't suit me, are very different from each other. Though genetically, we come from the same parents and grandparents, right? So we need to close that chatter in our mind, which is always looking at social media, responding to emails, calling up friends. Our our generation is so external that we think staying internal is actually a crime, because the moment you go internal you realize that okay, sugar doesn't suit me, it's a killer. But we are not allowing ourselves that time at all, because we are just, like you rightly said, multitasking beyond any generation has ever done on earth. We are the first generation that is constantly on. And I think the only way we can become well is when we start switching off.
Very well said. Asad, I'll come to you with this point. Most people, like Neha said now, most people today wake up already tired. Yeah, even before the day has begun. Because, the first thing people do once they wake up is such a phone they cook, WhatsApp I have, there's an email that I have to respond to, or there's a school meeting that I have to go to. So what's the biggest reason our energy is crashing despite eating well? Because we are doing that, we are conscious on that. Yeah, we are working out. I'm sure you see that every day. So does Kitty. And when we think that we're doing everything all right, still we wake up very tired. Why?
So I think when I was watching Luke talk here, one of the key things that he addressed was the low-hanging fruit is sleep, right? And I think a lot of people sort of underestimate the value of sleep and how much they are sleeping. That's partly because of the grind culture that a lot of fast-moving societies have. Anybody who's sleeping is wasting time. It's not that if you sleep 7, 8 hours, you're missing out on time. In fact, the next day I can you know personally vouch for this, that whatever it is that you're going to do for the next 8, 9 hours after a sound night of sleep is just going to be done better. I would probably do 2 days worth of work if I just had that great night's sleep. So, being chronically underslept will often lead you to have a flattened cortisol curve. Cortisol has an important role to play in our lives, as opposed to a lot of people demonizing it. It peaks in the morning, it's supposed to wake you up, and then eventually, as the day goes by, it's sort of supposed to flatten out. And because people are always chronically overstimulated, and that's just human nature as well, because there were these experiments that were conducted where somebody who had a significant amount of pain from a certain stimulus, which was an electric shock, was put in a room, not just one individual, many individuals. Like I think this was a proper study conducted with hundreds of individuals where they put them in a room, and their perceived understanding towards the stimulus was pain. So they were exposed to a painful stimulus before, and then it was like an electric shock button. And then they were placed in a room alone to spend time with the electric shock button. And right within a minute or two, they would try it again. And that goes to show that human beings find boredom to be more painful than actual somatic physiological pain. So I think being aware and mindful about what is it that you're trying to achieve with that morning's, checking your email or WhatsApp, in actuality, you're just looking for the next stimulus. And that's how most of social media was constructed. That's how it's designed. It's designed to entertain you at a very, let's say, in a short span of time, very quickly. And if you're just so wound up throughout the day from one stimulus to another, there's no way that you can have either a good night's sleep or, have a presence of mind. And therefore, when you're saying that everybody is exercising, everybody is doing these various things, exercise is also supposed to be meditative. Many people who exercise here, they don't understand that exercise ideally should be done alone because you lose out on a lot of cognitive benefits that you're supposed to get from that exercise. And when you're meditative, unless you're going to exercise because you lack the social interaction otherwise in your life. So then social connections play an equally important role. So of course, if you're going to the gym and you don't have friends, then you must exercise with a bunch of friends. But if you're overly stimulated anyway, like what happens with a lot of moms and middle-aged women or even people otherwise, I think that exercise routine should be done alone so that you have, let's say, a state of flow, right? And in that state of flow, you will find creativity, you will also have the best ideas, you will have the best solutions, and you'll also be able to internalize a lot of facts and be more active rather than being reactive to situations. So I think being aware of the constant stimulus that you have throughout the day and getting a good night's sleep and exercising just the right amount. Of course, Soumya came here, she said that people do a lot of over exercise. I've seen a lot of people who do over exercise without results. I don't know if they're doing it as a method of stimulus, like I just said, or are they doing it to nourish themselves or stimulate their internal endocrine function or cardiovascular function to get the holistic benefits of exercise and have mental thought and mindfulness in that practice.
Great. I mean, Kitty, I'll come to you now. In your Pilates practice, what are the physical signs that you see most often in someone who's mentally and emotionally exhausted?
Well, I think your physical body shows stress more than your emotional side because it's when you walk into a class, like I've seen it in my years of observation, that the body tells the truth before the mind. So, and Pilates mein kuch nahi chupta. Pilates reveals everything because Pilates is all about a mind-body connection. That's the workout that it is. So, stress will show up in your body, and when people walk into my class, the first sign is their posture. The spine will collapse, the shoulders droop, rounded shoulders, the jawline is clenched, the neck and shoulders are tight, hips are tight. And when you're on the machine or you're on the mat doing a workout, you're clearly not in class. Because your mind and body might be there, but you're not present in class. Your body is moving, but you're not listening to cues. Your breath is not in sync with your whole workout. And there is no mind-body connection. And I immediately know that this person's emotional bandwidth is low today. If I'm telling you to inhale, you're exhaling. If I'm telling you to pick up your right leg, you're picking up your left leg. So clearly you're not in class. There is something that is running at the back of your mind. So the first signs is the posture. Your breath is shallow and your tight hips and everything that you're not there in class. So stress will first show in your body and it will be the last to leave also in your body.
I mean, again, we have gone back to the emotional side as well as the physical side of human. Now, aromatherapy, as we all know, it's a sensory thing. It helps you calm down. And who better than Dr. Koche to tell us, if we live in such a hypersensory world, how does overstimulation affect our energy, and how can aromatherapy help reverse that?
Yeah. Now, aromatherapy, of course, is the most natural of the natural, as we all know, and of the most natural of the natural aromas, we can say, as we all know. And it affects and it works on us in three ways. One is, of course, it works on our mind, and it works on our body, and it works on any kind of illnesses that we have that cannot be, that has no medication for it. So we'll talk about the mind now, because your mind is one thing, like I've been listening to everyone, and it's true. Your mind plays a very, very important part in everything that we do, and our body and our stress and our hyperness, everything that there is. And of course, the world is very, very overstimulated. Right now, it's very, very overstimulated. And there is a lot of stress, like I've seen with everybody. But we can easily, now let's tell you, of course, we've said how it can be done with meditation and with yoga and with exercise. And these are all very, very helpful. And I must say, I follow all these because it is very, very important for us. And especially, I find strength exercise works a great deal, as well as, of course, yoga. So we have to balance the exercises first. Now, the aromatherapy, how can that help us? One thing is, what I find with aromatherapy is, since it works on your mind, now one of it is lavender. Now let's see, we take lavender. Lavender, yeah, is a wonderful, wonderful oil, and you can use it. It helps to calm the mind and helps you to calm down. So when you're overstimulated, a simple thing. Now, when you're overstimulated, what happens? You can't sleep, you can't eat, you can't do so many things. I know I've gone through that at some times at all. And you can, so the best thing for that is to take this lavender, rub it on the center of your palm, because these oils, essential oils, they have very, very tiny molecules. And you will find, if you take lavender and you put it here, you will find after a few minutes you can taste it in your mouth. They go through the pores, and this is how they work. They go right through the body, balance it out, and come out again. They never stay in your body at all. So you take the lavender, put it in the center of your palm, your stomach, your solar plexus, on your ears, and you can take a little in the tissue and put it under your pillow and go to sleep. You will find that you will definitely calm down straight away. The other thing I'd like to tell you about is sandalwood. Now we are all stressed and think, then we go to mandirs, or we go to churches, or we go to mosques. When we go there, what happens to us? We calm down straight away. Of course, we all feel, yes, God is there, and I say, yes, God is there. But it is the aroma that is there. Like you'll find sandalwood, you will find either frankincense in the others, and they have a very, very calming effect. So use sandalwood essential oil, use it in your bath water, pour it over, use it as a perfume, and you can just smell it. You will find straight away it is definitely going to calm your overstimulation.
Uh, Dr. Sachdeva, you know, Dr. Koche just spoke about the two different aromas that can help us grow and our day-to-day life. But at the same time, I also see there are a lot of self-diagnosis that people do. In the earlier panel also, we have seen that. Google ne ye bola, so Google has become a better doctor than anybody of you here. So tell me, how is it that one can understand what their body actually needs?
So as Luke was explaining, that Google only gives you very generic information. It is not specific to your body. We each have our own gut microbiome. Actually, the human body has only 25,000 genes, and the gut microbiome is 10 million genes. So you can imagine the amount of information that is stored in the gut compared to the entire body. And the signature of every human being differs on the combination of the DNA and the gut microbiome. So once you analyze the gut microbiome test, GI map test, and you do your DNA test, you will be able to match what is different about you, and then you start diagnosing based on that your signature. Once you arrive at your digital gut signature, which is now being done very cheap. In India, it was used to be 1 lakh rupees. Now it's about 5-10,000 rupees. But that's when you start to diagnose. So that's the only way you can find out where it's what is wrong. For example, if you have candida or if you have H. pylori, which is 70% of Delhi has H. pylori in their gut. We don't realize it. We never test it, and it's not even in any panel of any lab. It is not a standard test we do. But 75% people have H. pylori in their gut. Now, once you diagnose, then you go to an expert. You don't rely on any Google or any social media, which is very good to wake us up. It just stimulates your mind, say, oh my God, this is also possible. But then you need to go and find out whether it's applicable to you or not.
Medical diagnosis for that is what you would require.
I would say functional diagnosis is more different from medical diagnosis.
Thank you for correcting me. A lot of our guests here are women. Asad, what kind of workout routine is realistic for women who spend most of their day managing home?
I think exercise is mostly movement related, right? So I would say that if you talk about exercise, it totally is super individualistic. You have to look at your routines. You have to prioritize everything else because the social demands are so high. You're living with big families. You have children. You have other variable factors. Delhi is, as a city, is not very kind on our immune function. We fall sick several times a year and normalize consuming antibiotics. And all those are going to be contributing factors to how smoothly you can have an exercise routine integrated into your entire lifestyle. So I think the easiest way to do it would be to have a plan. And it's actually science because this is the theory of planned behavior. It is well documented, followed by many psychologists, all evidence-based. If you have a plan that this is what my next couple of weeks look like, more or less, right? I have these school vacations, or I have an early morning, or if you have a wedding, let's say season like right now, when is it that I can get my exercise? And even 5 to 10 minutes of exercise can do wonders. Because if you have like a total of 70 minutes in an entire week, 10 minutes into 7 days, that's 70 minutes. If you have 10 minutes of that every single day, that reduces the risk of Alzheimer's, cancers, cardiometabolic diseases, cardiovascular diseases, diabetes, obesity, of course, because you are giving your body that stimulus, right? And it could be anything. It could be, I think the easiest way to get a small workout in would be at home. If you can do some kind of body-like movement, like a squat or a push-up. If you can do strength training, that'll be great. If you have a couple of, let's say, dumbbells at home or something like that, because those create shear forces, compressive forces on your bones. And I think every woman should respect the fact that osteoporosis is a real problem. Menopause is going to happen. You're going to have a dip in estrogen. You're going to have more osteoclast activity versus osteoblast. You're going to lose out on those bones. And if you follow that system, in all likelihood, I think you'll have a light glowing inside you which respects health and your personal health so much that it would go throughout the family. You would not only be doing that benefit to yourself, but you would be bringing up your kids in the same way. You'll be talking about all the, let's say, health-related information with your spouse or your in-laws or your parents, and slowly and steadily you'll have a, let's say, network effect of that thought process. So you're not just going to benefit yourself from that. Knowing that a short workout at home, whenever you find time, even if it's a workout snack, even if you go for like a stroll right across in your, your hallway or something like that, or wherever you have space, even outside, I think that thought process and just trying to get it in whenever you can have significant compounding effects in the future. And I would also like to add to that, that of all the interventions that are out there, and why is it that I chose exercise physiology and my PhD in exercise physiology as well, is because, uh, you know, in the UK, when they studied how exercise has an impact on your brain in the MRI machine or your endothelial cells in your blood vessels and all of that, I found that it's the single one intervention that outperforms any pharmacological intervention. The success rate of exercise to mitigate risks in terms of cardiovascular disease or any other lifestyle disease for that matter is close to about 50%. Even in individuals who had cardiovascular events, your hospital stays and your future cardiovascular events, your future incidents of heart attacks are reduced by 50%. And through pharmacological interventions, whether it's a statin or whatever you want to call it, whatever people are taking these days, or it's an ACE inhibitor for your blood pressure, even if they hit 10%, it's like a God found drug. So exercise tops all of it.
Great. Kitty, you would be leading so many of these women in your classes who come and they do the Pilates, the workouts that they have. Could you show us, could you share maybe, not show us, but 2 or 3 simple steps, which could be the movements that one can do to release tension and feel lighter during the busy day?
Okay, now since he said show it, तो मैं तो show ही करूँगी. So let's all stand up, and I'm going to give you a
Let's do that.
3-minute reset that we all can do for our body as a Pilates coach, which should be your pick-up every day when you feel the dip in the energy or you feel that I'm not up to it. So I can't hold the mic, but okay. So just a quick. We won't be doing a 3-minute. I know Pranita is going to shoot me later, but I'll just show you maybe 3 reps we'll all do, and I would like you all to register these movements so you can do it in your day. 3 minutes. मतलब सिर्फ 3 minutes ही लगेंगे. We're going to open out our arms. And do a cat camel standing. Open your arms out. Everybody, let's do this. And you exhale and draw the abs in. And inhale, open up. Keep going, keep going. So you will exhale and draw the abs in. Push your back behind. Open up your spine. Let's do one more. As you exhale, pull those abs in. बिल्कुल जैसे selfie के time खींचते हैं ना पेट अंदर. And then inhale, open it here. That will be your first movement. The second movement is shrugging your shoulders. Do you know we store so much of burden in our shoulders, and the best way is to just shrug them and release them. वो कहते हैं ना कोई आपको कुछ कह रहा होगा तो आप क्या करोगे? दफाओ. Literally that kind of a thing. Lift up your shoulders and drop them down. Lift, drop. Keep going, keep going. So on the inhale, you will lift it up, and when you exhale like a ha, just let the burden go. Whatever you're carrying, just let it go. The third one is a favorite one. I know it looks a little funny, but we're all going to do it. It's called pelvic circles. To open up your spine, keep both your hands around your waist. Open your feet out slightly. Keep those knees soft, everyone. And you're going to give me some hip circles or pelvic circles. It helps us mobilize our lumbar spine or the lower back, the pelvis and the core. Keep going. For another 2, keep breathing out, keep breathing in. And reverse the circle for me, ladies and gentlemen. Let's just open up our body. We keep sitting all day so much that our back starts collapsing, and we start feeling कि मेरे को ये problem है, मेरे को वो problem है, not realizing all you need is just get up, move it a little bit. Okay, we stop. Okay, Blossom can keep going on. That's amazing. No, we need about 30 to 20 minutes of every movement. Now, one more. We're not sitting down. We're not sitting down. My favorite, I know I have 100 favorites, is grounding. Calf raises. Did you know calves is our second heart? We store so much there, so we need more blood flow to our heart, and the best way is the calves, which act as pumps to push that blood up to the heart and to our brain. So just do a little calf raises. So you see my calves, lift up your heels and drop them down. So these are my favorite movements. Bring in at least about 30 to 20 seconds of these 4. And the last one, I won't really make you do it. I'm sure you've all heard it throughout Instagram, is the 4-7-8 breathing. The most powerful thing you can give to yourself and move from the space of chaos to calm in those even 3 reps if you do. That you inhale for a 4, which is drawing in oxygen. You hold it for a 7. If you can't do a 7, just do a 5. It has to be longer than your inhale. When you hold it, you actually build in more carbon dioxide, which makes your oxygen work more efficiently. And the exhale has to be even longer, because that's where the stress starts going in and your heart rate drops and you get a signal, slow down. I'm safe and I'm ready to let go. You want to try 2? Let's do it. Inhale for 4. Close your eyes, everybody. Hold it for 6 on the count. And exhale for 7 or 8. One more time. Let's all inhale for 4. Hold. And exhale. Count to 7 or 8.
That was
Yes.
something.
You can all sit down. So yeah, we moved our hips, we opened our spine, we reset our brain, we reset the energy, and did some grounding.
I
That's
think
all.
we'll have a more attentive audience after this session.
Yeah, see, sabko jaga diya.
Neha, I would like to come to you, Neha. You know, we've spoken about the physical and the nutritional energy. There's emotional energy as well, which is important. What are some practical emotional boundaries people can set to prevent exhaustion and stay centered?
So, in today's panel, I am probably the only one who is not earning through fitness and wellness. For me, wellness is part of my life. I have a totally different job that I do. And the reason why I started doing regular fitness practice, and it's been now many years, like going back to Virgin Atlantic, Soumya, when we used to work very closely together. I used to come back from CP, my office was next door, and I would go back to Gurgaon and go to the gym straight, and nothing has changed. That was 2003, and here we are, decades later. It came only for emotional reasons in my life. So I went through some very, very, very stressful personal period, and I felt that my core was shaken with it. I couldn't find myself. Like a lot of us at times go in search of who am I. Usually it happens when you're a little older. For me, it happened when I was fairly young. And the only way back to me was fitness, because I was a sporty kid in school, luckily. So the only thing that I felt would bring me back to me was going back to sports in some way. And in today's time, sports, at least 20, 22 years back, sports meant going to a fitness center or a yoga center. And that's where I started to handle emotional stress. And what I learned during that period, and then I went on to become a certified yoga teacher, was that when I was head of marketing for Burberry, it was the most stressful year of my life. I don't know how I was doing my marketing role, because I was also parallelly going through an extremely emotional period. And the only way I could get to work every day and not express my sorrow and my grief and be a professional who was leading a very big international brand was because I had a very strong personal practice, and that came from fitness. So what I learned during that 1 year was, Soumya, that you've got to learn to say a lot more no's in life than yeses. I actually learned to draw a boundary to give. So, but when I would enter my gym after that, I would walk out like nothing had happened to my life. So I tapped in very early that you've got to learn to say no. So my practice, and I've been a marketing head for 25 years, so that's a long time. 2.5 decades, I would say. I do not look at my email or work WhatsApp till I get into my car in the morning. That's an absolute no for me, and I started doing that in 2010, because that BlackBerry used to give me blood pressure at such a young age, I could not handle it. And I do not see emails or work-related WhatsApp till once I leave office. And if it's an emergency, somebody from my team, like Vivek's here from my team, will message me saying you need to address this. And that's when I will go through it and address it. Because what I learned was that I was not so important. Though I felt I was the most important person out there running business, I realized I'm not. If I don't respond to an aggressive email, the world is still going on the next day. Nobody's died, including me. Salaries are still coming into the account. Everybody's running about their business. But I thought I was the most important person, so I needed to do everything there and then. So what I was humbled with was the fact that I was just anybody on the road. And if I didn't respond to aggression with aggression, life would still go on. So what I've also learned is if somebody sends a nasty WhatsApp message, because today we can hide so easily behind digital. When I started my career, you sat across a person and you addressed work grievances, which were tough. Today you don't have to. You just send a nasty message, and when you meet that person, you can pretend that nothing ever happened. So times have changed. I will never respond to that message. I will let an aggressive message go, and a lot of times my clients are like in shock because they keep sending a nasty message thinking something will rile me to respond to it. I will only respond to that once I've calmed down and I know that I'm going to send a message which is not going to make the situation worse. And that has come from learning to say no. So I have learned to say no. A lot more no, while I spent the first 25 years of my life only saying yes. I learned that saying no is not bad. So I go and do my CrossFit or weightlifting or yoga every day after work for past 15 years. That came by saying no. So no to all my champagne dinners that I used to do at Emporio. I said no to champagne every day. While I hosted events in the biggest luxury mall in the country, I learned to say no to certain things. So you can have, I'm hosting you, but I'm saying no to it. I'm going to say no to certain foods, they're not good for me. I'm going to learn to say no to certain people who are not good for me. And that was the toughest thing, to say no to certain friendships. But this only happens when you say your first no. Then it teaches you to your next no. And then it teaches your next no, and in a decade's time, you become a person who is preserving your energy so that you're exuding really good energy. Because to me, it's not just preservation. We are not insular. We are also external. So if I'm aggressive, guess who I'm going to be aggressive with? My friends, family, my colleagues. For what? Just because I read a nasty email that somebody thought it was easy to write because I'm not in front of them. So I think everybody sitting in the audience, you must learn to say no. When you have a choice to go to the gym, I mean, it should be something that you should do, but you have friends meeting for dinner, learn to say no to it and say, I'll meet you for drinks after dinner. It's not that tough. I still have friends. I got disinvited by many friends because they were like, she never comes. But guess what? I started getting invited by the right people who became my tribe, who understood that when I said no, they also were saying no. They were the same people. So over the past 15 years, my tribe also shifted slowly. And now I'm with the right people who help me thrive. I understand what thriving means because the people who I didn't land up for their parties thought it was so easy to not invite me anymore. So if all of you learn to say, it's okay, I'm not that important. If I'm not at home from 6 to 7, my house will not collapse. My maids will still work, my office will still happen. You will build a practice that will keep you away from a hospital, hopefully for a very long time. Because the same girl gang with whom you're taking your Sunday selfies are not going to be in that hospital bed with you. Let's be very clear. They'll come and see you once or twice, and then you'll be on your own fighting a physical battle. And we, at least in India, we know that we all fight our battles alone. We'll go silent on social media. We'll go silent on our friends. Why? Because you're doing it alone. So love your company. Because in the end, when you're doing hard things, you are not putting a divorce on a social media, right? You're going through it alone, which means you have the strength to build an emotional boundary by saying no a lot more. You'll be fine. You'll find the right friends. You'll have the right people invite. Like Parinita has invited me, but Parinita knows me for 25 years and she knows I say a lot more no than a yes. The right people will come into your life. So I think we've got to know how to build a good life for ourselves and not be scared that if you do that, you're going to lose friends and family. The right ones will support you.
Lovely. So we say no to a lot of things, and that's how we draw a line between the emotional and the professional self. Uh, I understand Dr. Shrivastava has to leave. Sachdeva, sorry, you have to leave. You have a hard stop, I'm told. Uh, we can...
So it's a flight. Actually, I hate doing this because I was here at dot 11:30, but we were 1 hour late. So
understand it's
yeah.
our loss.
No, but it's
But
okay.
great. So I'll have one more question for Dr. Kocher. You know, if I'm not holding you,
No. You
yeah.
can ask.
So Dr. Kocher, one last thing with you. You know, what are the 2-3 practices that someone should adapt in their daily life to feel lighter? You know, we have heard of breath work, we have heard of strength training, we have heard of how strong we are. But how is it that we can go a little light? And that's my last question. For the guest, you know, we'll have the details for Dr. Saab here, and we can then give you the, if you have any questions, we can share it with him and he'll respond to you individually.
Yeah. Hello? Yeah. So I'm not going to do anything far too slow because I know we have to close fast. So I'm going to give a very simple exercise which I learned recently. One thing, of course, is when I'm feeling stressed or anything that is too much, the best thing that I find to do is just, you know, put your hands down and move it like this. It really, and put it relaxed, relax, and just keep moving from your shoulders to your hands very gently. That really helps a great deal, and it takes away all my stress, and it really helps to lighten me. Or if I'm doing something, that is one. The other one that I must share with you because I discovered it just now when I was in Malaysia. You know, I normally, when I get anxiety or any anxiety problem, I think we all get anxiety at some time. I normally take a neroli essential oil, yeah, and then just do this and rub it on my solar plexus. That is one thing that helps me a great deal, and I normally smell it. But this time when I was in Malaysia, we were doing a oncology wellness and I had to do an exam. I really got nervous, stressed, believe it or not, nervous, stressed, and I got this anxiety attack. So I rang up a friend of mine who's an energy worker in America, and he gave me a very simple exercise to do which really helped. He said, take, you know, you have your collarbone here, just just go below and just don't even massage, you just have to tap. This of course comes from the tapping exercise that we do, but it's very good. It works excellently for stress and anxiety and anything done. Now I told him one thing, I said, how am I to do this if I'm sitting in a class, it's going to look really funny. So a very simple thing, he just said, just press the end of your finger like this. And I said, which finger? Any finger. And it could be light or strong. Just keep sitting. If you're with people, you've got a meeting, you're feeling a little stretch, just press this at the end. And if you find that it's going to help, and believe it or not, it helped me. I got through my stress and I got through everything else in my exam. It was wonderful, and I'd like to share that, and thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you so much with that wisdom.
Soumya, I want to add one thing, I'm sorry. Because all of us here live a very stressed life, and this is going back to Blossom Auntie's product. I use her 2 oils which I believe have helped me in my career and my day-to-day life a lot, and we always share practical tips where we can without getting into medication, because I think medication should be the last resort. Is lavender oil. It is unbelievable. We were just talking about it. I have used the lavender oil through the most stressful of situations, and a lot of times when those nasty emails or WhatsApps come, I'm actually sniffing lavender oil because I understand that it's going to help my physiology hugely. So lavender oil to me is amazing. And the second one, which I've also used, which is your brand only, is rosemary oil. It is so good for cognition, especially for women who are getting into perimenopause and menopause. One of the biggest things that we start losing is our memory, and it's a thing. So when I was young, trust me, I thought it's never going to happen to me. I'm never going to face this, but each woman on earth is going to go through the passage of life. So rosemary oil is amazing. Even if you don't have rosemary oil, you can just put rosemary in your oven and the aroma actually helps you with cognition so much. So these are two products which women especially, though of course lavender anybody can use. And in the night, if you're finding it difficult to sleep, especially for women in perimenopause, sleep is the other thing that goes. Taking lavender tea in the night helps you get such good deep sleep, and chamomile. Both. They are really, really good. So that's all I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We had a wonderful panel here. Uh, and I would like to thank each one of you, Neha, Dr. Sachdeva, Kitty, Asad, and Dr. Koche, yourself as well. Have